Let's start with Naspers closing at the bottom of the top 40. We're down 5 2/3%. Is there something afoot in the life of Naspers?
Interesting one, isn't it? Because it's Naspers has certainly been the market darling for years. And if, over recent months, as the stock price has almost doubled over last year, everyone's trying to decipher how you value their 35% holding in the Hong Kong listed Tencent, which is the largest online gaming in China. And everyone will sort of wax lyrical about the rump and how much it's worth, and you're now chatting off air, how do you value these things? Notice that the founding member of Tencent dumped about 7 million shares about 10 days ago.
That's not a signal you want when the founding member starts bailing.
And it was a big size. And then, of course, this morning in the early hours of our open, Chinese government saying they're looking at certainly cracking down on what they call the virtual transactions that are used in these games, which is a massive component of Tencent.
So that would be hugely negative for
absolutely,
Tencent.
And that's reflected in the share of Tencent down about 4.5% this morning. That stock is off about 17-18% in the last 2 weeks. So quite big moves for something which is traditionally everyone wants to just buy on the dips. They can do no wrong.
Well, that's a decision one's got to make now. Do
Yeah.
you buy into this dip at 262 Rand, given the fact that it's off 320 Rand, which is the all-time high? Is this your big buying opportunity? Or, in your opinion, are there too many signals out there that you should be out of
something,
Naspers?
you've been in this game long enough that, something just tells you when you start seeing massive volumes going through, big sell-offs, announcements from governments looking at it, there's a little bit of noise. You don't want to get too involved. I mean, from a BJM, sort of put my hat on there, we do like the stock and we are accumulating at these levels. But from my own trading point of view, there's certainly a lot of bearish signals there. It's not, Tencent is certainly not the cheapest stock on the bourse. It's trading on a forward P of close on, 30. So.
And with First Rand up 2%, I think it's on the back of the news that they're buying you.
It's got to be a bargain, aren't we?
Absolutely. Seriously, this is rally towards the close here. And Standard Bank, we've got 1.5% higher. ABSA also 1.5% higher. So the financials today rallying in the face of the big sell-off we're seeing in financials in the Eurozone after the downgrade of BNP Paribas by Fitch.
Yeah, and also if you speak to technical analysts, they'll always tell you that financial sectors always lead the markets either up or down. So quite a positive sentiment on the South African market with the banks rallying. You do in the last, things are changing so much from day to day. 2 weeks ago was the end of the world and Greece was imploding, and all of a sudden there seems to be quite a genuine positive sentiment. And when you see, as you pointed out, when you're getting these US numbers, those retail sales numbers out of the States a week ago were terrible. And the Dow still closed up on the day. So
housing starts were terrible.
Yeah,
so we're continuing on that negative, especially in the housing environment.
Absolutely right. The economic theme doesn't look so good, but yet the market is still managing to sort of close on its high, well, certainly off its lows. So you do get the feeling that there's a little bit of positive sentiment. Don't forget we've got earnings season just around the corner too.
But our market players are not just wanting to ignore the negative news.
Well, you can't fight that sentiment in the market. It overrules those fundamentals. Look, you can't do it forever. You can't having continually bad numbers and expect the market to continue to rally. But there certainly seems to be a little bit of a sort of upward trend, a bit of bottom picking.
What did you make of the knee-jerk reaction yesterday when we heard that China had announced over the weekend that they were going to look for a more flexible exchange rate for the yuan, and we saw industrial metals rallying hard, the likes of copper and aluminium up 3%. Everybody retracing, of course, today.
Yeah.
But it was a knee-jerk reaction. Do you think it was overdone, or could we still see some follow-through coming into the market?
I think it's a vote of confidence on that Asian area. They put the peg in place in 2008 when the financial crisis hit the world markets. And for them to signal that they're going to loosen up now, I think sends quite good signals. If you drill down into it and dissect what they're doing, it is going to make it harder for, with their currency on a free flow, it's going to make it harder for their sort of millers and that to compete, especially now that we've got monthly iron ore fixed price setting that the Australians and the likes have negotiated. So I think it's not that brilliant news, certainly for some of the resources. But initially, as you said, knee-jerk reaction, probably a little bit overdone.
And Truist up 2 1/3% at the top of the top 40 today. Just an outlier, no reason behind it.
These retailers continue to push ahead. I think everyone's been shorting these things for weeks, and they continue to push high. And again, a lot of foreign inflow, and you speak to people on the street, though, these retailers, the shops are full at the moment. They're not, how much is in the price, I don't know, but I think they're having quite a good trading period.
Looking at a stock like Sasol, the volatility is enormous. Yesterday
Huge.
we were up 3.5%, today we're down almost 2% on Sasol.
Yeah, big swings. You tend to see it feels like very much a trading market at the moment. These huge intraday swings. Very geared towards our currency as well. Also having big moves. I mean, I heard you talking intro earlier. 741, 742 on the rand yesterday. It's back at 755. 12-cent move on the rand in 24 hours was quite significant. So, we've been talking about this for a while, this volatility, and it hasn't gone away. Even with this World Cup sort of one eye on the TV, the volatility is still there.
Everything appears to be moving on this risk on, risk
Yeah.
off. Yesterday it was on risk on, and everybody was wild about equities across the board. The rand rallied, as we said, to that 741 level. Today, risk off. Is this just what we're going to see continuing?
It gets tiring, but it's exactly spot on. I mean, you can almost set your models to it. You've got the gold going up and the dollar going weakening against it, then the dollar strengthening, and then, as you said, these big swings from risk aversion and back in and out. And of course, South Africa, certainly the currency being one of the main barometers to risk aversion. These swings are certainly going to continue.
And looking at the general direction, as I was saying to Mashima on the technical front earlier, we've seen the JSE all share going all the way to that 33,310 level at its high. We've also seen it pulling back March 2009 to just below that 18,000 point level. At the moment, we seem to be holding above that 25,000 level. In your view, are we going up in the longer term, or are we going down in the longer term?
My personal view is I think we're at a consolidation phase. We're not cheap and we're not expensive. I think if you're sitting in front of a screen and you're a trader and you're trading these swings, it's quite fun. There's some nice big intraday moves. From people wanting to invest and putting your money in the market, it does feel like it's a little bit full. I mean, we were talking in your show a couple of weeks ago. MTN's at 97 rand, Bhiliton's at 195. Those were looking cheap.
Did you buy at 97
we were buying
rand on
down
MTN?
We were buying down the bottom, yes. And
you're smiling now because it's at 113 rand 50.
Sometimes better to be lucky than good.
And you were just saying, sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, no, it's it puts something like a Bhiliton's at 197 to put on a forward P of 7. You don't hardly ever see some of these major sort of great stock like Bhiliton's that cheap, but now all of a sudden back at 225, it puts it on a P closer to 10. So it does feel a little bit fully priced, but I would say to people out there, keep an eye on and trade these moves.
Nick, appreciate your time. Thanks very much. Nick Kunze, Head of Dealing at BJM Private Client Services.